All right, let's kick off this deep dive with a scenario I bet many of you have faced. That utterly frustrating moment, when your door handle just refuses to cooperate.
Oh, yeah. Happens all the time.
Maybe it won't lift up to lock when you're heading out, leaving you feeling insecure. Or perhaps it won't push down to open it. You're trapped inside or out.
It's more than just annoying, isn't it?
Exactly. It's not just a minor annoyance. This kind of thing is a genuine safety risk. For homeowners, for business owners too, it really demands attention.
Definitely.
So today, we're diving into a really practical guide. Our mission, to arm you with, say, the 5 most effective things you could try the next time your door handle acts up. All before you even think about picking up the phone to call a locksmith.
Yeah, empower yourself a bit.
We're talking about empowering you to potentially solve these common, yet sometimes baffling problems yourself.
And what's crucial to understand here, I think, is that these handle issues are particularly common on modern UPVC and composite doors.
Right, those plastic-looking ones.
Yeah, or the fiber-reinforced ones. Very popular now. They're great for insulation, security, but they use what we call multi-point locking systems.
Ah, okay. Not just one latch then.
Exactly. It's not simple. They have several locking points that all engage at once along the door's edge, which is brilliant for security, obviously. But it also means there are just more components that can potentially run into problems. So our goal in this deep dive is really to equip you with the knowledge and maybe the confidence to diagnose and hopefully even fix these issues yourself.
Turn frustration into empowerment.
That's the idea, a moment of genuine empowerment.
Okay, let's unpack this first one then. The arguably most common culprit. When a door handle gives you trouble, where do the pros always start looking? What's step 1?
Almost invariably, it's door misalignment.
Misalignment, okay.
Our sources and just, years of experience consistently point to this. It's the #1 cause, especially with those multi-point locking doors we just mentioned. It's often the fundamental issue.
What's fascinating here is why doors get misaligned.
Yeah.
It's not always like someone slammed it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just seems to happen.
You're right. It's rarely that dramatic. It's usually gradual. Over time, doors can subtly sag. Just their own weight, changes in weather, humidity that makes them swell or contract.
Ah, makes sense.
And even the building foundation settling naturally can shift the frame slightly. Plus, heavy, repeated use plays a role too.
So all these little things add up?
Exactly. These gradual changes, sometimes you barely notice them day to day. They can throw the whole door out of its perfect alignment. And that's when you start noticing handle issues.
Right.
And the real insight here, I think, is realizing that even minor misalignment isn't just annoying. It's actually a silent killer for your lock's lifespan.
How so?
Well, if you ignore it, you're basically forcing the lock's gearbox, that internal mechanism, to sort of muscle through these misaligned points every time you lock or unlock.
Putting strain on it.
Huge strain. It dramatically shortens its life. And replacing a gearbox is much costlier down the line. So early detection, gentle adjustment, that's your best long-term cost-saving strategy, honestly.
That's a really powerful takeaway.
Okay.
So how do we spot if misalignment is our problem? What are the signs for a homeowner?
There are some pretty clear indicators, actually. First, if your handle works perfectly fine when the door is wide open.
Like away from the frame?
Yeah, disengaged.
Right.
But then it jams or feels stiff when you try to use it with the door closed. That's a massive clue. Points right to misalignment.
Okay, open versus closed test. Got it.
Another sign is if the gap around your door looks uneven. Maybe it's wider at the top or bottom, or tighter on one side.
So visually check the gaps.
Yep. And finally, you might literally notice the door rubbing or dragging against the frame, maybe against the floor when you open or close it.
Okay, rubbing or dragging, that's a dead giveaway.
It's definitely a red flag.
So we've spotted the signs. Now for the DIY steps. How do we tackle this? Where do we begin?
Start simple. Visual inspection. Stand inside, close the door gently, and really look at the gap between the door and frame.
All the way around?
All the way around. Should be even. If you spot tight spots, squeezing points, or areas where it's dragging, you're on the right track. Then do that open-close test we mentioned. Lift and push the handle with the door open. Smooth.
And if it is smooth when open?
Strongly suggests misalignment is the culprit. So once you've kind of confirmed that, you're probably looking at adjusting either the hinges or the strike plates.
Hinges first.
Let's start there. Hinges are those metal bits attaching the door to the frame, right?
Yep.
On UPVC and composite doors, you often see flag hinges. They look a bit like flags. These usually have multiple adjustment screws. Some move the door up and down, some side to side. Some even adjust how tightly it presses against the seals. That's compression.
Right, okay. So tools?
You'll typically need an Allen key, sometimes a screwdriver, depends on the hinge. The real trick here is small incremental turns. Don't go crazy.
Like, how small?
Think a quarter turn at a time. Seriously. Close the door gently after each little adjustment. Feel for resistance. See if it's better or worse. It's a bit like tuning a guitar, you know? Tiny tweaks make a big difference.
Yeah.
If you rush it, you can strip the screws or bind the door, even worse. Patience.
Okay, hinges adjusted. What about strike plates? You call them keeps.
Yeah, keeps or strike plates, same thing. These are the metal plates on the frame where the locking points from the door actually slot into.
Ah, the receiving end.
Exactly. If the door has sagged or shifted, these receiving points might not line up perfectly anymore with the bolts or hooks on the door edge.
Makes sense. So adjustment.
Similar idea. You loosen their screws slightly, don't take them all the way out, then gently tap or slide the plate into a new position. Check alignment with the door closed, maybe mark it lightly. The goal is for those locking points to slide into the keep smoothly, effortlessly when the door is closed. This careful adjustment is key to getting the handle moving freely again. And a quick tip. Sometimes it's tricky to hold the plate and test the door. If you can, grab a friend to help, makes it way easier.
Good call. That's fantastic detail, especially on the small adjustments. All right, so you've meticulously checked alignment, maybe made a few tweaks, but that handle still feels, I don't know, sluggish. Or maybe it's got a new stiffness. If the door is physically aligned, what's next? What's happening inside? What's the next hidden enemy?
Okay, if it's not alignment, then it's almost certainly going to be dirt, dust, and just a general lack of lubrication gumming up the internal part.
Gumming up the works.
Literally. That leads to stiffness or, yeah, worst case, total failure. You got to think of your lock like a precision instrument. It's not just a lump of metal. It's full of tiny springs, levers, gears. They all need to move freely.
That raises a really important question, though. The right lubricant. I bet loads of listeners, me included, have just grabbed that can of WD-40 instinctively. Is that bad?
It absolutely can be, yes. In the long run. Anyway, look, WD-40 is great for some things, freeing rusty bolts, whatever. But for delicate lock mechanisms, often a no-go long-term.
Why's that?
Because oil-based sprays like that tend to attract more dust and dirt over time. They basically create this sticky trap. So your initial sticky problem, it becomes an even stickier, grittier mess down the line. It actually speeds up wear.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what should we use?
You want something like graphite powder or a silicone-based spray lubricant.
I have it. Like pencil lead.
Sort of, yeah. You can buy it as a fine powder specifically for locks. Or silicone spray. These types are designed for locks. They lubricate without leaving that sticky residue that grabs onto dirt.
So it stays cleaner inside.
Exactly. Using the right stuff isn't just about fixing it now. It's about preventing future gunk buildup. It's like an investment in the lock's whole life.
Good point. Okay, we've got the right stuff, graphite or silicone. How do we get it where it needs to go effectively?
Okay, first step, if you can, is to carefully remove the handle cover. Sometimes it's just clipped on, or maybe has a small grub screw.
Get better access?
Much better access to all those little moving parts inside. Then, apply your lubricant. If it's a spray, use the little straw they give you. If it's powder, puff it in. Get it generously into the keyhole. People always forget the keyhole. Into the latch mechanism on the edge of the door. And crucially, specifically around the handle spindle.
The square bar thingy.
That's the one. The square metal bar connecting the two handles. That's central to the operation. Also try to get some into any visible gaps in the gearbox casing itself on the door's edge.
Okay, lubricated. Now what? Just leave it?
No. You need to work it in. Move the handle up and down. Repeatedly.
How many times?
Like 20, 30 times.
Right.
Really work it. This action helps the lubricant spread through the whole mechanism, gets into every little pivot, every spring that might be causing friction. You'll often feel the resistance start to ease up as you do it.
Oh.
And here's something that might surprise you. If you see black or gritty stuff coming out,
yeah.
Don't panic. Believe it or not, that's actually a good sign.
Really? Black gunk is good.
It means the old, dried-up lubricant or the accumulated dirt is being flushed out, making way for the new stuff. So, yeah, it means you're making progress.
Good to know.
And aim to do this, like, preventatively, every 6 to 12 months. Especially for doors you use a lot or ones exposed to bad weather. Keep things moving smoothly.
That's incredibly helpful. Okay, so alignment's good, lubrication's done right, but the handle still feels like a dead weight.
Mm.
Or worse, maybe you're hearing some really unsettling noises.
Ah,
Grinding, clicking.
yeah, that's not good.
If that's happening, are we looking at the heart of the problem now? A deeper internal issue?
Yes. At this point, we move on to checking for internal mechanism failure, specifically what we call gearbox failure.
Gearbox. Okay, what is that exactly in these doors?
In those multi-point locking doors, the gearbox is basically the central brain of the whole lock system. It's the component that connects your handle movement directly to all those different locking points,
Yeah.
the hooks, the bolts, the rollers, whatever your door has.
So it translates the handle turn into locking actions.
Precisely. If that part fails, you've got a significant internal problem. It's not just sticky anymore.
Right. So what are the telltale signs of gearbox failure? How would we know?
There are some very distinct signs. The handle might feel really floppy or loose, or maybe it doesn't spring back to horizontal after you use it. It just sort of hangs there.
Like a limpfish.
Exactly like a limpfish handle. That's a classic sign. You might also hear those noises you mentioned, crunching, grinding, clicking sounds when you try to move the handle, like gears stripping inside.
Yikes.
And crucially, if the handle won't move at all, even when the door is wide open and there's no resistance from the frame alignment.
So back to the open door test.
Yep. If it still won't move when open, that's a very strong indicator the problem's internal to the gearbox. Sometimes you'll also find the key itself won't turn fully or it gets stuck. That often points to the gearbox too, as the key cylinder usually interacts directly with it.
Okay, so for DIY diagnosis, how do we confirm this? Beyond just the feel and sound.
Well, that open door test is your biggest clue. Handle won't budge or feels broken when open. Almost certainly internal, likely the gearbox. If you want to get a closer look, you can do a visual inspection.
Okay.
This involves carefully removing the handle set first. Then you need to remove the faceplate.
The long metal strip on the edge.
That's the one. Runs down the edge of the door. Once that's off, you can usually see the gearbox itself. It's typically housed in a metal casing behind the faceplate around handle height.
And what are we looking for?
Look for anything obviously broken, worn out, or jammed inside. A snapped spring, maybe? A cracked piece of metal, something clearly out of place.
Right. Now, here's a critical piece of advice. Maybe a reality check. While you might be able to diagnose it, fixing a door gearbox, that's typically a pretty complex job, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It involves lots of small, fiddly parts, often needs specialized tools, and you need to know about specific lock brands and models. For most people, even handy folks, it's probably beyond a simple DIY repair.
So what's the pro tip here if we suspect gearbox failure?
Best bet. If you think it's the gearbox causing your handle woes, before you even call a locksmith, try to identify the lock brand. It's usually stamped on the faceplate. And take some key measurements.
Like what?
Two main ones. The PZ measurement, that's the distance from the center of the handle spindle hole to the center of the keyhole, the round part. And the back set, that's the distance from the very edge of the door to the center of the handle spindle hole.
Okay, brand, PZ, backset. Why is that important?
Because it's often much more cost-effective to replace just the gearbox unit itself rather than the entire long multi-point locking strip.
Ah, so the locksmith can just swap out the broken brain.
Exactly. If you have that information-ready brand, PZ,
Right.
backs at the locksmith might even bring the right replacement gearbox on the first visit. Saves you time, saves you money.
That's a brilliant tip. Okay, moving on. Sometimes the simplest issues are the ones we miss, right?
Yeah.
I've definitely had those moments wrestling with something, convinced it's broken, only to find something blindingly obvious.
Happens to everyone.
So what's next on our checklist for those often overlooked culprits?
We're talking about tightening or maybe replacing loose or worn components. Simple stuff, just loose screws. Or maybe the handle itself is just old and worn out. It can absolutely stop things working smoothly. And if you ignore it, yeah, it can cause the handle to jam eventually or even break right off.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. And this is where, component quality really matters too.
Okay, so DIY steps for this one. Starting simple.
Easiest thing, check all the screws, get the correct screwdriver. Using the wrong size is how you strip the head, then you've got a whole new headache.
Been there.
We all have. Gently tighten all the screws you can see. On the handle ruses those round or square plates against the door, and especially the long screws that usually go right through the door to hold the handle set together. Also check the screws holding the faceplate on the door edge.
Just tighten them up.
Snug them up. But word of caution, don't go overboard. don't over-tighten.
Why not?
Too much force can actually bind the mechanism up, making it stiff. Or worse, you could...
Okay, snug, not super tight.
Exactly. A nice firm fit is what you want.
Okay, screws checked. What else?
After checking screws, give the handle itself a good inspection for wear and tear. Look closely. Any visible cracks in the handle? Is the spindle bent? Does the handle itself have excessive play or wobble?
Feels loose even when screws are tight.
Yeah. If it wobbles significantly, feels really unstable, it might be past simple tightening, it might just need replacing.
Is replacing a handle hard?
Generally, no. The good news is, replacement handles for these types of doors are usually pretty inexpensive and quite easy to swap out. It's typically just those two long screws holding it together, and the spindle bar slides out. Just make absolutely sure you buy the correct size and type for your door. Measure that spindle length, and importantly, the distance between the screw holes, they need to match.
Right. Measure twice, buy once.
Always.
And a crucial piece of advice here, echoing what you said about quality. Always use high-quality replacement parts. I can't stress this enough. Cheap handles, cheap screws, they have a terrible reputation for failing quickly.
They really do. False economy.
Totally. The last thing you want is to be right back at square one with a jammed handle a few months later. Invest a little more up front. It saves hassle, saves potential safety issues later on.
Sound advice.
All right, for our fifth and final DIY check, let's circle back to something we mentioned with alignment, but look at it as its own potential problem, the strike plate. Just to be clear, expert, remind us its exact function again.
Sure. The strike plate, or the keep, that's the metal plate fixed onto the door frame. It's where the door's latch bolt and maybe other locking points like hooks or bolts actually enter when the door closes.
Gotcha, the hole the latch goes into.
Essentially, yeah. It's often recessed into the frame a bit and shaped to help guide those locking points into place smoothly. But a misaligned strike plate can absolutely be the sole reason your handle won't move freely, even if the main door alignment seems okay.
How come?
If the opening in that strike plate isn't perfectly lined up with the latch or bolts coming from the door, it can physically block them, stops them engaging properly, or stops them retracting properly when you turn the handle, so the handle feels jammed.
Okay, so how do we check its alignment specifically?
Oh,
What are the DIY steps if it's off?
Best way to check is to slowly close the door. Really watch exactly where the latch and any other locking points meet that plate on the frame.
Get down low and look closely.
Yeah, or maybe even mark the latch position lightly with a pencil on the frame next to the plate. Do it a few times if it doesn't line up dead center, or if you hear or feel the latch catching or scraping against the edge of the plate opening.
Then it needs adjusting.
Exactly. The adjustment steps are pretty straightforward usually. Loosen the screws holding the plate to the frame. Just loosen, don't remove fully. Then move the plate ever so slightly. Up, down, maybe sideways, tiny movements. Then retighten the screws.
And test it.
Yep. Test the handle operation after each minor adjustment. See if it's better. It's often a bit of trial and error, millimeter by millimeter, until it's just right and the handle feels smooth again.
Okay. Anything else to check with the strike plate?
Yeah, one more thing. Check inside the strike plate opening itself for obstructions.
Like what?
Sometimes paint can build up in there from decorating, or just accumulated dirt and grime. Even swelling of the frame material in damp weather could potentially narrow the opening.
Ah, so the hole itself is blocked.
Could be. If that seems to be the case, try giving it a good clean out with a stiff brush. Or if it's paint or slightly tight, maybe a little careful filing of the opening with a small metal file could do the trick. Sometimes just clearing out that gunk provides enough clearance for smooth operation.
Good tip. And what if the plate itself looks damaged?
Right. If that strike plate looks badly worn down, maybe it's bent, or perhaps it has a really deep groove worn into it where the latch has been hitting it off-center for ages.
Then adjustment might not be enough.
Probably not. Replacement is likely your best bet then. But don't worry, a new strike plate is usually very inexpensive.
Cheap fix.
Yeah, relatively. And swapping it for a new one can make a dramatic difference to your handle's performance. Simple fix, potentially big impact on how smooth the door feels.
Okay, so after all this effort, if you've diligently gone through all 5 things we've discussed, checked alignment, lubricated, inspected the gearbox, tightened or cast components, adjusted or replaced the strike plate, and your door handle still won't work properly, what's the verdict then, expert? When do we admit defeat?
Well, it's not really defeat, but at that point, it's a pretty strong sign that the problem is likely deeper. It could be further inside the complex multi-point locking mechanism itself, or maybe even related to the structural integrity of the door or frame in a way simple adjustments can't fix. And crucially, it's really important to caution against just trying to force the handle at this stage.
Bad idea.
Very bad idea. You can cause significantly more damage to delicate internal parts, snap something expensive. You could end up needing much more costly repairs, maybe even a whole new locking strip, or, worst case, damage the door itself.
So don't force it.
Definitely not. When you've exhausted these diagnostic steps, that's genuinely the time to call in a qualified locksmith.
Makes sense.
These professionals have the specialized tools, they have diagnostic equipment, and frankly, the expertise to quickly figure out those more complex issues. They can get your handle and your door back working properly, safely, efficiently. You haven't failed. You've just done your homework and narrowed down the possibilities for them.
That's a good way to look at it. So what did this all mean for you listening? Well, we've covered a lot. Checking for door misalignment, lubricating the mechanism, inspecting for that potential gearbox failure, tightening or replacing loose or worn bits, and finally, adjusting or replacing the strike plate. This deep dive, hopefully, has given you some really actionable steps, some diagnostic tools, empowering you to tackle some of the most common door handle problems with confidence, maybe saving you a call-out fee, maybe just giving you a better understanding of how your door actually works.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of leads to a broader thought, doesn't it? A question for you to maybe mull over beyond just this door handle. What other seemingly small everyday household issues, things that annoy you, might have equally simple yet often overlooked diagnostic steps? Maybe even DIY fixes that could save you time, save you money, save you hassle. It sort of encourages you to embrace this deep dive philosophy in general, perhaps. Do a little investigation, a bit of critical thinking yourself, before immediately assuming you need professional help. There's often more power in your own hands and knowledge you can gain than you might realize. Ready to solve problems and just make your home life run a bit smoother?